The email subject line said, "Your Lyft receipt, 11:43 p.m., drop off at an address I'd never seen." I stared at it while my fiancé brushed his teeth like nothing had happened. I didn't confront them, not yet. Because the second I did, the story would become about his feelings, and I needed it to be about my future. Hey viewers, before we move on to the story, please subscribe and hit like if you want more real, wild, Reddit-style stories with clean endings. I'm 29 and I live in Portland, Oregon. I'm the kind of person who plans vacations in spreadsheets and buys extra batteries, just in case. I work as a commercial insurance underwriter, which is basically a job built around one skill: spot the risk before it ruins your life. And the irony is, I missed the biggest risk sitting across from me on my own couch. His name was Evan, 31, and when we met, he felt like the opposite of my cautious brain. He was charming in a clean, curated way, great hair, great laugh, always knew the right restaurant. We'd been together 3 years, engaged for 7 months. We weren't married yet, but our lives were already braided together in all the ways that matter. We rented a 2-bedroom apartment in the Pearl District. Expensive, modern, big windows, too much concrete. Rent was $2,650 a month, and we split it 60-40 because he earned more. We had a shared calendar, shared streaming accounts, a joint credit card for groceries and house stuff, and most importantly, shared routines. That's what made it so easy to trust him. Because betrayal doesn't show up wearing a ski mask. It shows up wearing your partner's sweatshirt, making coffee like it's just another Wednesday. And Evan was consistent. Until he was. Evan worked as a brand partnerships manager for a mid-sized athletic company. His job was networking, dinners, quick trips, and the kind of corporate friendliness that always felt like flirting. But it didn't bother me at first, because he wasn't shady. He wasn't the guy hiding his phone under a pillow. He would leave it face up on the counter while he showered. He'd hand it to me to change music in the car. He'd let me use his laptop if mine died. That's the trick, I think. When someone wants to build trust quickly, they sprinkle it everywhere like confetti. We had this thing we did every Friday. We'd order Thai, open a cheap bottle of wine, and watch the same comfort show we'd already seen. One night in late September, Evan leaned his head on my shoulder and said, "God, I'm so excited to finally start our life for real." At the time, it made me smile. Later, I realized it was a sentence designed to keep me calm, like patting a dog before you take away its bowl. Because 2 weeks after that, the weirdness started. It wasn't lipstick on a collar, it wasn't perfume, it wasn't even a sudden gym obsession. It was timing. Evan started working late on Tuesdays, always Tuesdays. He'd text around 6:10 p.m., running behind, babe, probably home after 10. The first time I didn't think twice. The second time I made a joke, "Tuesdays are your new personality." He laughed, kissed my forehead, and said, "Quarterly partnership reports. You wouldn't survive my job." It was playful, light, normal. Except when you live with someone, you learn their patterns like background music, and suddenly his Tuesday music didn't match the lyrics. He started showering the second he got home, not a normal shower, a wash the night off me shower. And he started using his phone differently. Not hiding it, just guarding it with his body like a casual shield. Small things, tiny enough to ignore if you want to stay in love. And I did want to stay in love. So I did what a lot of people do. I told myself a story that let me sleep. Until a random receipt told me the truth. It happened on Tuesday, October 14th. I remember because I had a client call run long, and I ate dinner alone at 8:27 p.m., leftover pasta, standing at the counter, scrolling aimlessly. My phone buzzed with an email notification. Not a text. An emails. Subject line, "Your Tuesday night ride with Lyft." Now Evan and I were on each other's accounts for random stuff. When we moved in together, we consolidated house life the way couples do, and Evan had set up Lyft receipts to go to our shared email so we could track expenses. It had always been boring. Until it was. I opened the email. Pick up 9:58 p.m. his office address. Drop off 11:43 p.m. an address I didn't recognize. The cost $38.16. The driver's name, the route map, the exact time window. And the worst part. The destination wasn't a bar, it wasn't a restaurant. It was a residential building. A condo tower. I stared at the map like it might rearrange itself into something innocent. And then my brain did something extremely calm and extremely terrifying. It started underwriting the risk. Who goes from an office to a stranger's condo at 11:43 at night? And why does it happen every Tuesday? That one notification was the beginning of the end. But I still didn't confront him. Because confronting too early is how you lose the truth. So I did what I do for a living. I gathered receipts. I didn't hack anything. I didn't break into a phone. Everything I looked at was something I already had lawful access to: our shared email, our joint accounts, our shared calendar. I typed the address from the Lyft receipt into Google. It pulled up a building name, the Marlowe Residences. It wasn't close to his office, it was across town. Then I searched the shared inbox for Lyft receipt. And my stomach dropped. There were more. Not just one. A pattern. Sept 23rd, drop-off at the Marlowe, $34.90 Sept 30th, same building, $36.05 Oct 7th, same building, $39.40 Oct 14th, the one I just opened, $38.16. 4 Tuesdays in a row. 4 separate maps. 4 time stamps. And then I checked our shared calendar. Every Tuesday from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m., Evan had a recurring block called Partner Sync/OFFSITE. It looked official, it looked corporate. It looked like a lie someone wrote for themselves. I took screenshots of everything, saved PDFs of the emails, made a note in my phone with dates and times. And because I'm me, I opened a new spreadsheet and titled it Timeline. Then I did one more thing. I looked at our joint credit card statement. On Oct 8th, there was a charge, $92.14 at a restaurant I'd never heard of. The time, 10:58 p.m. A Tuesday night. I wasn't building a case for court. I was building a case for my future self. Because I already knew what this was. I just needed proof strong enough to survive the manipulation that was coming. And I knew manipulation was coming because I knew Evan. He didn't like losing. He liked controlling narratives. And I was about to quietly remove myself from his story. I expected to cry. I expected anger, shaking hands, that hot humiliation in your face. Instead, I felt empty. Not numb. Clear. Like my emotions had been a loud TV that someone muted. And the thought that landed in my chest was so calm it scared me. Oh, so that's who you are. The love didn't explode, it switched off. And once it switched off, the next step wasn't drama. It was logistics. We were renting together, both on the lease. Lease renewal was in January, which meant we were still locked in for 3 more months. I didn't want a screaming breakup in a high-rise hallway. I didn't want him begging in front of neighbors. I wanted clean. So I built a plan like I was evacuating a building. Step 1, secure housing. On Wednesday, October 15th, I took a long lunch break and toured a studio across the river in Selwood. It smelled like fresh paint and old wood. Rent, $1,545. Security deposit, $1,000. It was smaller, but it was mine. I applied that afternoon. Step 2, separate finances. I already had my own checking account, but my direct deposit had been going into the house account for convenience. That night, I changed it back through my HR portal. Takes 5 minutes, feels like cutting a wire. Then I called the joint card company and removed myself as an authorized user on the shared card, completely legal, completely normal. I also opened a new savings account and moved $4,200, my money, from the joint to my personal, leaving enough to cover my portion of rent for the month. Step 3. Documents. I pulled my passport, birth certificate, social security card, and a folder of work documents out of our filing drawer. I didn't do it dramatically. I did it like I was tidying. Step 4. Utilities and passwords. The internet and electric were in his name, but our streaming services were tangled. I changed passwords on anything tied to me: banking, email, phone carrier, iCloud. Then I logged out of every shared device. Step 5. The lease. I emailed our leasing office asking about lease reassignment and break options. They replied the next day. If one tenant wanted to leave, the other could requalify a loan, or we could find a replacement tenant. There would be a $500 transfer fee. I read that email twice, and then I smiled for the first time in 48 hours. Because now I had an exit that didn't require permission. Step 6. Move logistics. I booked a small moving company for Saturday, Oct 18th, 9 am 12 p.m. Cost $640, including a 2-hour minimum. I also rented a small storage unit for 1 month, $79, just in case the new place wasn't ready in time. Then I waited. Not doing nothing. Waiting like a predator waits. Because I was about to confront him only when my life was already halfway out the door. On Friday, October 17th, Evan came home smiling. He brought me flowers, which almost made me laugh. Because when someone starts buying flowers for no reason, it's usually not romance. It's guilt. He leaned on the counter and said, "Guess what? I might be traveling next month. New partnership opportunity." I looked at him and saw a stranger wearing my fiancé's face. I kept my voice soft, cool. He frowned. "What's wrong?" I held eye contact, nothing dramatic. I saw the Lyft receipt. His face shifted, not shocked, not confused. Annoyed. What receipt? And there it was. Deny. I took my phone out and placed it on the counter between us like a paperweight. Tuesday night, 11:43 p.m., the Marlowe Residences. He blinked, then laughed like I was being silly. "Babe, that's just work stuff. We meet off-site sometimes." I nodded slowly. 4 Tuesdays in a row. His smile tightened. "You're tracking me." I tilted my head. "It's our shared email. Your receipts come to it." He rolled his eyes like I was the problem for noticing. "Okay, so what? I'm allowed to have privacy." I didn't raise my voice. I asked one calm question. "Who lives at the Marlowe?" He opened his mouth, closed it, and then he tried the next move. "Blame. You've been so distant lately, and you're always stressed. I didn't think you'd understand." I almost admired the speed. So I ended it. I pulled up the credit card charge and slid the screenshot across the counter. Then explained the 10:58 p.m. dinner charge on Oct 8th, same Tuesday, same pattern. His eyes flicked to it, and for 1 second I saw panic. Then he softened his face like a performer. "It didn't mean anything," he said quickly. "It was stupid. It was one time." I nodded again. "Evan, 4 receipts." His shoulders sagged like he was the victim of gravity. And then he said the line cheaters always say, with the same tired script. "I was going to tell you." I looked at him. "Knowed you were." Silence. And in that silence, I realized something else. He wasn't sorry he cheated. He was sorry he got caught by an email receipt. That's not remorse. That's inconvenience. I didn't sleep much that night. Not because I was heartbroken. Because I was executing. Saturday morning at 8:55 a.m., the movers showed up. Evan was in the shower. I texted him from the living room. I'm moving my things out today. We'll handle the lace through the office. Then I put my phone face down and started pointing. Couch mine, desk mine, kitchen stuff, mostly mine. The movers worked fast, polite, professional. At 9:12 a.m., Evan walked out in a towel, hair wet, and froze. What is this? I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I handed him a single sheet of paper. A note. 4 words printed because handwriting felt too emotional. I know I'm done. His mouth opened. Nothing came out. The movers carried my life past him like he was furniture. At 11:47 a.m., the apartment looked different. Not empty, just quieter. And when I closed the door behind me, I felt something I hadn't felt in days. Relief. Phase 1, denial plus anger. 12:03 p.m., you're being insane, we can talk like adults. 12:15 p.m., you embarrassed me in front of strangers. 12:22 p.m., you're seriously throwing away 3 years over misunderstandings. Misunderstandings. Like Lyft receipts teleport. Phase 2, guilt plus tears. That evening he called. I answered once on speaker, hands steady. His voice was cracked. I made a mistake, okay, I hate myself, I love you. I kept my tone even. It wasn't a mistake, it was a choice. Silence. Then sniffing. I don't want to lose you. I breathed out slowly. I'm not here to negotiate my self-respect. Phase 3, bargaining plus promises. By Sunday morning. I'll go to therapy, I'll give you full access to my phone, I'll quit my job if I have to, we can start over. He kept offering solutions like the problem was logistics. But the problem was character. Phase 4, rage mask off. Monday afternoon. You're cold, you're controlling, you always think you're better than everyone. No wonder I needed someone who actually made me feel alive. And there it was. The truth hiding inside the insult. He needed someone who made him feel alive because he couldn't sit with himself in quiet. Then the flying monkeys arrived. First was his sister, Tara. She called like she was mediating a workplace dispute. Hey, Evan says you left without talking. That's kind of harsh. I kept my voice calm. He chided. A pause. Well, he said it was complicated. It's not, I said. There are receipts. Another pause. What kind of receipts? I didn't send screenshots. I didn't argue. I gave one detail. 4 Lyft drop-offs to the same condo tower, Tuesdays, 11:43 p.m. Silent. And then softer. Low. Because reality is heavy. And it makes people quiet. My best friend Nina came over that week with sushi and no pity in her eyes. Just the steadiness. She'd heard from mutual friends that Evan was devastated, that I was overreacting. I showed her the timeline. Not every screenshot. Just the pattern. Dates, times, repeated location. Nina stared at it for a full minute and then said, he's not devastated, he's inconvenienced. I exhaled. And she added, I'll handle anyone who tries to guilt you. I didn't want to win people, I was trying to exit clean. And still having one person see the truth with you. That's oxygen. By November, I was settled into my studio. I bought a cheap second-hand couch and a plant I didn't know how to care for. I started therapy, $30 copay every Thursday at 6 p.m. And something weird happened when I wasn't living inside someone else's chaos. My brain got quiet. I saved money without trying, I slept better, I stopped checking my phone with dread. Work noticed. In December, my manager called me into a meeting and offered me a promotion to a senior role. a $9,000 raise. I walked home in the rain, laughing at the universe. Because while Evan was busy building a second life, I was accidentally building a better one. As for Evan, mutual friends told me pieces without me asking. The condo tower belonged to a woman named Sloane, a creative collaborator from a brand project. She wasn't his soulmate. She was his escape. And when Evan's relationship imploded and he stopped being fun and secret and exciting, Sloane backed away. Vast. Evan also had to requalify for the lease alone or move. He couldn't afford it. He tried to find a replacement tenant, but got stuck paying the transfer fees and penalties. He posted a bunch of vague Instagram stories about betrayal and people leaving when things get hard, which was hilarious, because the only hard thing I did was choose myself. The final run-in happened in January, about 3 months later. I was at a coffee shop near my office, waiting for my order, when I heard my name like a hook in the air. Well, hey, I turned. Evan looked smaller. Not physically, emotionally. Like the version of him that used to take up space had deflated. I've been trying to reach you, he said. I kept my face neutral. I blocked you for a reason. He swallowed. I just needed closure. I almost smiled. Closure is what people ask for when they want one more chance to rewrite the story. He stepped closer, voice softer. I was in a weird place. You were working so much, I felt invisible. I stared at him. This is you doing it again. What? Trying to make your choice my fault. He flinched. It wasn't like that, he insisted. I didn't plan it, it just happened. I leaned slightly forward, voice low enough that it didn't make a scene. It wasn't a mistake, it was a choice. His eyes watered. I loved you. I nodded once. Maybe, but you didn't respect me. He reached out like he might touch my arm, then stopped. I'm sorry, he whispered. I'd do anything. I took a breath. And then I said the boundary like a final door click. I'm not here to negotiate my self-respect. He looked stunned, like I'd slapped him with calmness. So that's it. I held his gaze. Yes. Then very clearly. Do not contact me again. He stood there, coffee shop noise around him, realizing he couldn't talk his way out of a spreadsheet. Because charm doesn't work on receipts. I picked up my drink when they called my order. And I walked past him like he was a stranger. Which at that point he was. A few weeks later, Nina invited me to a beginner climbing class. I almost said no. I almost stayed home in my safe little studio. But then I remembered something important. Staying home because someone hurt you is still letting them control your life. So I went. I was terrible at it. My arms shook. I fell off the wall like a cartoon character. And everyone just laughed kindly and kept going. No judgment, no drama. After class, we sat on the floor tying our shoes, and one of the women next to me, Marisol, said, "You did better than you think. You came back up after you fell." I blinked because it wasn't flirting. It was just respect. A healthy mirror. Later that night, I hung a small framed print in my apartment. Nothing fancy, just a simple quote. Peace is expensive, but it's worth it. And standing there in my quiet, I understood the real ending. The karma was what happened to them. It was what stopped happening to me. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to subscribe and hit like for more. And I want to hear from you. If you found the receipts, would you confront immediately or plan your exit first? Share what you'd do in the comments.